Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. It's a Wednesday night. You all know by now what that means. It is Supercoach, our Supercoach show basically now. So keen as to rip into it, rip into it again. Shout out to all you Supercoach lovers out there who are continually supporting us. Absolutely love the support we are receiving. Again, sponsors, please reach out. We are looking at the moment. Definitely there's a couple of spots available. Reach out if you want to jump on board, get the exposure. There's so much views in that on our shows at the moment throughout our content on social media. It is the perfect time, start of the year, to jump on board, give back to the League of Inches community, and we can give back to yourself as well, your business. So really keen to get on board there. Supercoach, what a week. What a week. It was funny. I was actually just talking to the boys off air and saying, I looked at the scores last year, doing our graph and stuff that I did at the end of the year, and I was trying to do an up-to-date one now moving forward. And this time last year, we came on talking about scores of 800. Going, it'll be okay. We're coming on this week with scores well into the thousands, which is just crazy to think. But a huge week. Plenty of cheapies sort of scored well. Some that didn't do as good, but we're going to talk about everything tonight. It's going to be a great show. Obviously, getting ready for next week, which will be huge with price rising and changes and things like that. But got the boys along, got Trav, got Jesse. Jesse, mate, how's things?
Yeah, great. Really good. Supercoach, week one's done and dusted. Took 2 weeks to get there, but no, man, it's been a good week. It's finally back in a footy. Week two's amongst us now, so it feels like only yesterday we were bloody doing team pickers in December, and we're in March and footy's in the second week, so it freaking flies. But no, it's good to have it all back, and a lot less. I suppose last year, I think I cracked like an 850 something, and I was like, "This is dire. Like this is like panic stations." But this year, Jesus, man, the cheapies went big. The lineups look pretty settled. Like everyone kind of picked a relatively good team. Most of the scores were pretty good too. So yeah, I feel like it's pretty smooth sailings into the start of this season, which is really it's refreshing, to be fair.
Yeah. Yep, no, definitely. It's going to be it has created plenty of talking points already, and then there's more to come. Trav, it's been 24 hours. How's things, mate? We had a great live show last night, so just keeping the momentum going.
Yeah, it was a good one, wasn't it? Some really good questions and interaction with the community, which was great. And I was looking at the views just before, and it's like well over 2,000 views, which is just on the Facebook page, which is fantastic. It was fun. I'm going well. Back to today was the first day back after the cyclone, so for schools it was good to see the kids. They were very happy and excited. They had some interesting stories and things to tell them, and I said to them, well, hopefully this is a 1 in 50 year weather storm, and hopefully by the time you're all 58 years old, and they all went, "What, 58? That's..." I was like, "Yeah, well, you're only 8 years old, guys." and it just clicked in their heads, and they're like, "Oh wow, like if it's going to happen again, I'm not going to stop till I'm 58." So it was an interesting thing to have a chat with them today. Jesse, I actually, funny enough, today I was driving home and I went, it feels like only on the weekend that you and I were sitting there with a few Jim Beams in us, writing up at Hamfest, writing up our teams. I was like, it literally feels like the weekend just went, and we're now almost halfway through March. How quick time flies.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? I know, like Hamfest was a bloody, it was a ball, and then staying up pretty much into the wee hours with a notepad before we even knew what prices looked like, trying to do quick
guessing their prices.
Fantastic, man. That's just like pure degenerate super coaching as far as it can go. But no, it was freaking going quick, man. The season's gonna fly.
It is, and just a shout out to the kids out there. By the time in 50 years' time, 58, the League of Inches podcast will still be going. So make sure you like, subscribe, and when the next cyclone comes, you just put your headphones in and you just listen to us jabbering on in 50 years' time about that cheapie that's coming through. Jesse will no doubt be writing his notepads down, and who knows, Trav will have that many pictures now in his thing. He'll have a whole house dedicated to just the podcast and doing all of his pictures, and the Storm probably onto their 400th premiership by then. So
400.
In
50 years. I think I need to send you back to grade 3.
Work that one out.
40th. Well, 40th. Let's you know what's wrong with me? I'm just too excited. I feel like I'm all of a sudden being crowned the Supercoach champion here. I feel like there's a lot of respect come my way. We're about to get into it. Let's talk about our results from the weekend, which has been
these.
huge.
Can we mute this dude?
I'm just going to move
Jesse,
these a little bit more into the
People,
frame. Sorry,
as soon
Joel.
as he started talking, people turned off.
Champion of round one.
Jesse, start us off. Let us know your score on the weekend, your rank, and go a little bit deeper. Let us know how you went in the Supercoach draft as well. We'll pump that up a bit. We'll promote that now. It's 5 divisions strong.
Oh God! All right, let's get into it. So, I scored 1252. I was actually, pretty happy with it. I left a lot of points on the bench. I missed a couple guys I probably should have started with that I was super high on, but we all did. But yeah, I'll take a 1252. Pretty respectable for round one. Season ranking at the moment is 28,414. So, yeah, look, I started last year 85,000. So, still worked my way into the top 1K, which was, it's a long way to go. But yeah, starting 28, I've definitely got pretty good stuff to work on. Going into the draft side of things, though, it just didn't happen for me. I thought I was in for
The
it too.
draft king.
Yeah, reigning champ, just fell at the first hurdle, which is lovely. But I'll get it out the way now. Yeah, I had a couple of outs. Like I lost Harpany. Moses obviously was a 3rd round pick for me. Didn't even get a run. I had Tino on the bench. So there's a few things that happened. Coruscant too, I didn't have because he was obviously out for round one as well. So I kind of did it to myself in a way. It's more of like a long-term thing. I play for the premiership, you know what I mean? As long as I'm in the 8 kind of thing, I'll take it out at the end. But I scored
It's
685. Yeah, Jesus. Draft is definitely not a sprint. So scored 685. So it wasn't pretty mediocre score for drafts, but in general, I think actually I only lost by 10, 15 points. But yeah, congratulations, Jamie. You didn't even field a whole team. Still beat me. Yeah, I had my first and second rounders, Tedesco and Crichton, 43-55. So pretty bad. Not ideal. But yeah, look, hopefully that turns around. There was a couple of decent scores. Tomoko got an 83. I had Gilbert, drafted him, weapon 64, Paseka 71. So it was a lot of, real late drafters, like late picks, really low expectation, but they kind of did a job for me. Even Katoa and Galvin 52, 51. So it was a lot of just average. There was really nothing that like blew it out of the park. But yeah, it was just one of those games. I needed someone to go big, and no one really did. So I lost. That's the way it goes, really. So I'll be right going into next round.
All good, brother. I'll take you under my wing this week. I'll give you a couple
dramas.
of tips off there. Trav, talk to us. Let us know how you went this week.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with mine. To start us off after a round one score, I got 12 or 1,233. I was just like Jesse, and as most people did, I left a lot of points on the bench, but I wasn't. To be fair, I wasn't playing any of them either. So it's like as much as I left them on the bench, I just didn't expect that that's what they were going to do, and I would never have played them. So it gives me a season rank of 36,392. I've got, it's only 360 points off the first spot. And having a look at those top sort of teams, a lot of them had to play these, Gusevshis, Arthurs, and Toyas and the like. They played them in their teams, right? So that not just reserved them, they played them in their team. So I think I don't think it's going to be hard to catch up and keep going as long as I make some good moves and it works out for us. But for me, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. I can give you a bit of a run through the team as we go at some point too. But and then in terms of the draft, I won my game. I'm just going back into it. So I got 703. Played Josh, his Watermolder's Warthogs, and he got 638. I had to before this. I had to drop 3 of my guys that I drafted. So I put them straight in the waiver before we even started the round. So I was pretty, it's gone, everyone out. So what did I do? So, Katoa got his basically the whole year injury. So he had to go. I wasn't holding that in this league. Maddo was my last pick. I dropped him. And brought Takiaho in, which didn't overly work for me because I was just tossing up between Takiaho, Tupanua, and Hubner. And, and one dude told me, no, you should go Takiaho. So I did. Anyways,
I think it was me. I would have done it. Honestly, I would have done it. I think I suggested it. He's a jewel.
So,
You just don't know.
and now he's
Welcome
not
to my
playing
team,
this week.
Supernova.
Now he's not playing this week. Tupanua got 104, so it cost me,
You won't score a double every week.
80 points. But it is what it is. It was only going to be a 1 week play because I had Fermor sitting on the bench. So yeah, my bench last week, funny enough, was Bo Fermor, Jacob Carraz, Bostock, and Ben Hunt. So that was my bench. So. Yeah, I'm very happy going into this week. I've put Ben Hunt in the 5'8". I've put Pappenhausen on the bench and put Kaya Week straight in a full back. So I'm locked and loaded. Fermor can come straight into my 2RF spot, and here I go. So Takiahu's on the trading block. I just got to figure out who I want. But yeah, that's me in the draft.
Nice.
Both and classic.
All right, get the drum roll out. Go on, Joel.
Yeah.
Tell us, how well did you go this week?
Look,
across the board too, tipping, everything.
Oh,
I want to
well,
know how
if
good
you
you
wanna-
went for the works. Go on.
if we need to go there, 8 from 8, still undefeated in tipping this week. Sportsbet hates me. They've actually banned me on the account. They just said you literally are cleaning us out. So I've just been told by Sportsbet to stop betting. So shout out to your Sportsbet. Jump on board as a sponsor if you want. I'll give you enough shout outs by now. Yeah, gamble responsibly as well, please, and become a legend to see our slips each and every week. For a Supercoach point of view, 1,332 gets me a season ranking of 6,068. So that was absolutely amazing to get early on. So I'll take that start, considering last year I started with 800 and something points. So like 500 people, basically 500 spots above for myself. So I'm wrapped with that. For my draft, I'm just trying to find where to find that. This is how good I am at this sort of stuff, guys. But I just win. So I got the win up as well in draft 734. I beat Marcel. So I gave him a bit of a lesson in how to draft as well. So not getting ahead of myself. I'm in first place this week, Zach. And I'm short a couple. I'm playing the long game, not the short game. So I expect a loss there and get brought back down to earth, and I'll be ready to cop it. But that's a tactical move, not cleaning out my team, keeping my guns, and it's all good. I've got a couple of Storm players there. So, but overall, very happy with the week. It's been a good weekend in terms of footy-wise for me, apart from my team getting absolutely annihilated and then basically losing one of their best players. That's been a really fun side of the week. But everything else, I'm just a neutral now. I'm starting to be a Supercoach player, not a rugby league fan. So thank you very much, guys.
Well done, mate. See you in round 2. Oh, God.
All righty.
Love the voiceovers.
Let's do our quick team list with all the relevant Supercoach news, shall we? So I'm just going to bring it up and the Supercoach news as well after I just went through my scores. So let me just... Have you got it up yet, Jesse? I'm still trying to find it.
Yeah, team list. Yeah, I'm looking at them at the moment.
You want to do it? You do it then. You go.
I'll just run through this one. So Knights and Dolphins. Knights looking pretty well, 1-17, unchanged as far as I can see. Yeah, that's not a lot going. Adam Elliott's on the bench now, but as far as it runs, man, the Knights look exactly like they did last week. Going into it, the Dolphins, they've got Nikorima back in the 6, so a couple of their players that obviously pulled out for the Cyclone, they're back in the side, so that's good for them. Oren Keeley starts on the edge as well with Plath. Gilbert starting as lock. Unfortunately, Fino Filiaki has stood down for his concussion protocol, and Lemueli's got a fractured eye socket. So, very quickly their depth at that second row spot's kind of depleted. But yeah, Oren Keeley, bit of wraps on him, dual position, very cheap. So we'll see how long he's in that spot for. Yeah, not too much changed outside of that. The team pretty much looks as it did last round. So going to the next game, you want to take over, mate?
Just quickly.
Yep.
Finifuaki's supposed to only be out for 1 week. There's big wraps on this Oren Keeley. But I think Keeley will just go back to the bench. I think I'm interested in Finifuaki, and I think this HIA has worked out perfectly for me as a downgrade option to have a look in round 4 instead of round 3. So to pick him up. So yeah, I'm pretty keen on that. I'm certainly keeping an eye on him still.
Yeah, it's very handy that he got that extra game out just to see, because he does look like one of the better 360 odd K 2RFs
Yep.
at the moment. So another week to wait and see how the price falls. Very handy. Um, the Warriors and Manly. So the Warriors have had a good, 2 weeks off to try and, recover from the game that was in Vegas. Have named an unchanged side, which is a little bit funny considering what they could have done, especially with their halves. But yeah, they've got Aaron Clark named at lock. They've got Mitch Barnett in the prop. Just see what happens before game day if there's any late switches. Sorry, like they did at the Vegas game. So again, Jacob Laban's nowhere to be seen. Dimitri Vimega and Halasima are on the interchange. So yep, just a quick watch before the game on that side. For
Big
Manly,
big leap of faith from Andrew Webster there. Not changing
yeah,
that team after the round one performance. That's
yeah,
would
well,
be
he's obviously
insane
got a
in my
fair
opinion.
bit of faith, especially with the options that he has with Tamari Martin. I just think it's a matter of time before we sort of see something happen there. But again, he's obviously not swinging the axe just yet. He must see something. So he knows probably a bit more than we do. For Manly, man, they can't change anything around this team. This thing was humming. So yeah, unchanged as far as I can tell. Quickly going through it all. Yeah, looks just as it did last round. Bloody weapons. So, yep, they're looking red hot. Particularly, probably a bit harder, I'd say, going from Brookie on a nice Sunday to flying over to New Zealand playing the Warriors there after what they've come from. So, yeah, it'll be a bit more of a contest, I hope. But again, that Manly weapon looks like it's rolling. Jesus Christ, this game scares me. Panthers and Roosters. So for the Panthers, Casey McLean's back on the wing. So his concussion was 11 days stand down. It was well over 11 days. So he's back in the side. Brian Tyler's back on the wing as well. Alamotti in the centres with Isaac Tungo. Jack Cole's in the 5'8". Hearing very, very early whispers he may potentially have an injury. So see what happens there. It's like very early breaking, probably not confirmed to this stage. So at the moment, speculative. But, we'll see what happens. I just got some
Your
messages before about it.
And
your
Talangi's not even
postman's red
named.
hot.
Talungi's, yeah, it is. Yeah, Talungi's not named to this one. So probably if it is going to be anyone, Schneider will be the
Not
replacement.
Schneider.
But again, don't panic. They're not super relevant fantasy wise anyway. So um, the rest of the side is as it is. Papali'i still hasn't got a start yet. So Sorensen season is still in full effect.
Are you okay there, Jesse? Are you still
Oh,
backing yourself?
I will be at some point in the season. Just not yet. For the Roosters, looking through, couple of changes, mainly in the forward pack as well. Celesi Feketi is named in the lock. CY Wong goes to second row. So obviously Radley and Butcher are both out. Concussion and foot injury, I believe, for Nat Butcher. Got Nafahu White, Lindsay Collins starting as props. Watson's in the 9. The back line is as it is. Nwanganawi Tasi and Robert Toya both in the centres. Billy Smith doesn't seem like he's too far away either. So there was a bit of hints from Robbo about where Mark's best position is, saying the wing. So, yeah, we'll see where he lines up when Billy Smith's back. I feel like one giraffe of a man is probably going to not have his position anymore. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's pretty slim pickings on the bench. Zach Docker Clay did quite good actually last week when he was on. The team looked much better for it. Blake Steep, Lasalu, and Makatoa on the bench. So, yeah, a little bit thinner than the Roosters usually run with.
Surely
Saturday.
Surely Nafahu White's got big minutes this game.
Surely he does something with them is probably the bigger question. He definitely gets his minutes, but what does he do with those minutes? I suppose we'll find out. I would love to
You'll
see
score.
Zach Docker play start and just put Watson in the 13. I think that's probably the best option for him, but we'll see. For the Dragons and the Rabbitohs, so geez, the Dragons look pretty good. Gutho in the 1, you've got Tupolotu and Figai on the wings. They're looking as they are. Toby Couchman in the prop played monster minutes last week. I think he played about 70 minutes. Unfortunately, his brother's done his ACL, so probably inflated, I would say, due to injury, but big watch. Sort of awkward price too, but he's a dual, so it's pretty cool. Gula, again, in the 10, he feels fantastic. So it's a good option there for you for a cheap front rower. Leilua and Sura in the second row with DeBellin at lock. So pretty much the same. Jacob Little in the 14. Freaking too good to be in the bench. So Hamish Stewart as well. He's got his kept his spot this week. So 198k front rower. second game in now, played decent minutes last week, could actually be an option for cash rise next week, which is nice. Rabbitohs, couple of changes again. Obviously, they just freaking can't catch a break when it comes to injury. Isaiah Tass is on the wing with Fletcher Myers in the centre, Campbell Graham, and they've got Bailey Bentley Hape on the other wing too, obviously for Ty Munro. So looks like he'll be making his debut out there. Jamie Humphries has kept the 7, which is awesome. Sean Kepi, Mamazelis, Mawali, the props, and yeah, Lockie Hubner's still a 13 too, which is really good. So bench unchanged. A couple of differences in the back line for the Rabbits, so we'll see what happens with those guys. A few more games to go. Did you want to take over, mate?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Cowboys, they are as per. Oh, sorry, no, they're not. Big out. Jeremiah Nenai has been dropped. Kai O'Donnell is starting on the edge, so he's giving him the old Jason Tamalolo treatment of yesteryear, where he just basically has picked him out and gone, see you later. So obviously defensive issues that has been seen from last week, and straight away he's acted on it. So interesting what that does, and if O'Donnell turns into a bit more of a opportunity or an option, sorry. Obviously watch at the moment though. Just you never know when Nanai's going to walk back into that team. So
it's definitely going to happen at some point.
Yeah. So just not too sure, but good on him. Good to see him. I guess he is holding people accountable, but just we spoke about it last night on the podcast. It just seems very odd timing. The whole drop him now. He has had defensive issues for years, and he's done nothing with it. So it's very odd time when they're short already as it is with a couple of big injuries to some of their forwards. Again, Tamalolo is named in the 22, so just keep an eye on that. Nanai is actually on the extended bench, but he's been confirmed since then that he's playing Queensland Cup this week, so he hasn't got a chance of being a late in. The Sharkies, they're as per program after their tough defeat to the Panthers. I reckon there'll be a big bounce back factor in this game for the Sharks, so interesting to see what happens there. All eyes on, I guess, Nico Hines if he'll be goal kicking. Obviously didn't goal kick for Vegas, so there'll be, if he's had now pretty much 2 weeks to recover from whatever that injury was. I think it's his groin still playing up a little bit. So, I think by reports he has practiced this week some goal kicking, so we'll see what happens there. For the next game, we've got I still think this is going to be a cracker, even with a couple of big outs for the Raiders, but the Raiders versus the Broncos. Albert Hopewadi's on the wing for the suspended Savage, which is a bit of a blow after his form last week. 2 weeks ago at Vegas, sorry. And then you've got no Tarpany, which means Horsburgh actually goes back to that prop role. And Morgan Smith goes to starting lock. And Matty Nicholson goes on to the bench there. So just keep an eye on some minutes there for, especially, I don't know if you've got him, but Morgan Smithies and Matty Nicholson, I guess, maybe sharing some time there, or maybe on the edge. What do you reckon, boys? Maybe some edge time as well.
It's a tricky one, really, because Hosking, everyone's sort of speculating Hosking's probably going to lose some minutes, but look, Hosking's an 80-minute guy on his day. It's just, we'll have to see what happens. But Nicholson he's a second rower. He's got to have to play in there somewhere. But Smithies can play big minutes, so can Hawes. I don't think Papali'i's probably going to get a massive game. Realistically, he's probably going to get belted with the props that the Broncos currently have now in Carrigan and Haas. I don't think Papali'i's really up for it anymore, but they're going to have to really utilize the man because it's a 3-forward bench. Paddy's a pretty small fellow when it comes up to Haas and Carrigan. There's going to be some pretty heavy forward rotation. I just don't think the second rowers are going to really spell minutes off them. I think they're going to have to work it personally, but we'll see what happens with them. Tamale as well. Tamale's the big talking point, I'd say, out of the Raiders. So he's on the wing for Savage. It's just a wait and see what happens next week, really, because it's really good that Savage has the week off, like we mentioned with the who was it that's got the suspension? Fine Fuiaki. Same thing with Savage with the suspension. He's got a really low break even. You're going to be able to carry that into round 4. I think it's a 1-week suspension, so it'd be nice if it was 2 weeks because round 5 would be handy, but. Yeah, he's going to be a late one. We'll just have to see if Tamale's named next week. And if he is, I think he's a fantastic buy. It's just where is he named, because Hopewadi's pretty much got his spot at the moment. It's a bit of a shootout, but worth a look into. But yeah, no, side looks pretty good outside of that.
I mean, he's literally an injury and a suspension away from, or a HIA, whatever you want to say, from playing. So
I think
he's going to play.
regardless.
So I think he's a good buy. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to get him now. I think I've got an opportunity to wait because I know what Ricky's like and what's happening at the Raiders, to wait another week. However, I don't hate the buy this week if you want to sort of get ahead of the pack. I guess you're just taking a risk on that he doesn't get picked next week. But either way, he's going to come in. So it's whether you want that cash next week or in 2 weeks' time, or whenever it is that he comes and gets his extra games. I don't hate it at all to buy him now, but I would say for me and my team, I'm going to wait another week just to be extra safe. If you have him, you'd be licking your lips and very happy.
Yeah, 100%. If you've got him, sweet. If you don't, sort of on the fence. You could probably wait, but yeah, next week you want to be making proactive moves. I don't really want to be trying to rush Tamale, and if I could avoid it and do it now. So yeah, just depends on your team and who you'd be willing to drop.
Yeah, Broncos, as per program from last week, basically. Big news that came out of the last day or two. Payne Haas's stint last week, or game, I should say, even bigger and better than what we've seen, because he was sick, had the flu fairly bad, and he's actually doing Ramadan at the moment as well. So absolutely crazy. When you put it all together, he played the way he did. He's an absolute monster, and he left training. Apparently that it is all fine, given a little bit of a rest with what's going on. He's fully fit and raring to go for the Raiders game. So I'm sure we'll be talking about him very shortly when we talk about trade in and outs, because I believe he's pretty much top of that list from what I last seen. So we will have a chat there. Sunday games, we've got the Eels versus the Tigers. The spoon bowl from last year. Who knows if this could be a preview to another one, but who knows. For the Eels, a couple of changes. Jordan Semrani comes in for Tungo, who was absolutely shocking on the weekend. The man of the moment, man of the hour, Dill Brown, has kept his spot, even at calls from crazy fans to drop him. He's on about 850 at the moment. You're not dropping someone who's on 850. Go out, play. If you imagine him not playing at the moment, the halves would be absolutely shot. Jack Williams keeps his edge spot. Sean Lane's the new guy in on the edge as well, with no Talangi. So Talangi went from hot property probably about 3 weeks ago. Everyone was loving what they were seeing from him, to now out of the team and looking extremely poor against the Storm. Couldn't tackle a fly with no wings, basically. He was shocking. He was absolutely shocking. So
thank God for that second poor trial game. Dead set. Because his first game was fantastic and we were all suckered in for it. His ownership would have been, there would have been a lot of people left high and dry had he had a good second trial. Yeah. Because, my God, he hooked him after 12 minutes.
Yeah. And then he only came back on because of a HIA.
Yeah, he would have been. That's it. You may as well go to New South Wales Cup now. The game's not even finished. Get on the bus. Shocking, man. To be fair, that Cup team looks better than this one, to be honest. So,
it's played their best, which unfortunately they're not. Which is why they're in New South Wales Cup. So we're not getting the best versions of Maddo and Cardi and that at the moment, unfortunately. Other little talking point quickly is Riley Smith. I think there's been a few that have him. Obviously disappointing on the weekend against the Storm side that was running right. There is plenty of raps on Riley Smith, extremely fit as well. What are we thinking here, boys? I'm still just, if you haven't got him personally, I wouldn't be going out to get him. It wasn't a great score, and still the Eels aren't playing great yet either. So I'm just, even as a fan, I'm steering away from Eels players as much as possible at the moment until probably Moses is back.
Yeah. Look, he's cheap. He's 198. He played really good minutes. 53. I think that's what you got. It's what you got to look at. He's cheap and he played really good minutes. It was a debut game where they got trounced.
Something's got to click.
Yeah, the minutes are there. You know what I mean? Like he's got the potential for it. Like if he was playing 20 minutes, you'd be like, well, he's not an option. But he's playing 50 plus minutes. Like, so it automatically puts him in the category of, okay, there might be something here. If he can get his game together, like shit, if he can get 40, 45, 50 points, point per minute or give or take thereabouts for 200K, like that's, it's pretty good going. Again, it's just, I'm not really humoring it at the moment. I think we've probably got a bit of time. I don't think he's going to be really getting any price rises anytime soon. And if he doesn't anyway, I think he's going to be cheap enough to downgrade to from anyone at any point of the year. until he gets on a run. So yeah, but it's promising. Like they've obviously he's the wraps around him are freaking massive. Like everyone's sort of talking about how good he is, but yeah, when it starts to click, I think he will be a good option for sure.
Yep.
Oh,
No, I agree. I think the other guy here, Charlie Geimer, hasn't been named. He's on the extended bench. So Katonga gets that bench spot. Who there was some wraps on him, and I think he's pretty cheap as well. So I'm just watching it, Trav. At the moment, I'm watching the rest of these players. I don't want to buy in any of these Eels players.
No, I actually don't mind the Riley Smith buy. I mean, I think the on the weekend just shows that he's definitely keen. Like with that they're keen on him, and it's his spot. I think it's his spot to lose. I know that Brandon Hands is starting, but I think it's his spot to lose. From all reports, he's broken Gutho's bloody
fitness
long distance fitness records and things. He's he's just a workhorse. Like, did you watch him? Like, how was that run that he had up the lung when he was running, trying to chase Warbrick down? Like, and it's turned into a meme. He's literally got his head back like this. Like it's hilarious. But just watching him do it, right? And just seeing that just earns you extra minutes. And eventually the points are going to get in. I don't hate it. I toyed with the notion of putting him in this week and dropping Mamazelis and making the extra 100 and I think it was about 106 or something $1,000. I mean, Sandon Smith came out and got himself a 50, and I was happy with that. With us as a hooker, as bad as we all thought he was, he still got that score. I'm not going to play him, so I don't have a problem. I actually think it's not a bad move. I'm tempted to try and get him. I'm tempted to look at that this week before next week, where I know that next week I'm going to have to make a few corrections. So, yeah. Anyways,
I guess the good thing for him with this matchup is the Tigers had a lot of missed tackles on the weekend, so that might
just a couple
create some opportunities to be able to actually have a few runs and dummy half, and maybe a break, a line break, a potentially a try assist, things like that, and all of a sudden that score does go up, and like you both said, he all of a sudden starts generating some cash flow, which would be awesome. So maybe that little 100K bonus might be all right. So see what happens there. For the Tigers, the big gun is back. The other captain, Api Coruscant at hooker. Dream Buller is back at fullback as well. So they're effectively, in a way, full strength. Stafford Toa in at centre as well. He's my boy. I've had plenty of chats on him. I can't fit him in at the moment, but I've got my eye on him. I've definitely got my eye on him at the moment. See what he can produce. Well, I guess we'll probably talk about safe fast to come, won't we, boys? Or you want to do that now?
We'll talk about him to come. He's definitely in the plans to get his axe.
We'll talk about him shortly. Another one that I was disappointed with, and I've got Royce Hunt as my third front row forward at the moment. I didn't realize what his score was. He did a couple of runs off the back fence, but brother, that doesn't get me much Supercoach points. So do a bit more, please. Work a bit harder. I need you to. That would be very nice to start generating some decent cash through that. But Skelton, I was really happy we did some work, scored a try. Sort of once he scored that try, like they stopped sort of going towards him, I felt like, in a way. He's a beast. He's a 10. Give him the ball. What are they doing? Anyway.
Yeah.
Jerome Luai. That's what that's called.
Yeah.
I think it was more Galvin, to be honest. He really wanted the ball in his own hands towards that.
Hey, contract talks.
God love it. I just love seeing Galvin get his stride on, but he just, I don't know. For whatever reason, I was watching him and I'm like, no, man, pass the ball to someone. He just, him and Luai were playing hot potato offloads for a little while as well. So, just weren't really utilising their outside backs.
Alex Tall's a massive watch for me at the moment. Did a nice score on the weekend, starting lock, worked his backside off and generated some really nice base and end points there. So, I'm in his dual position at the moment, I believe. I just missed out on him in draft, which I was spewing about. I didn't think people would click onto him so much, so I missed out on that. But it is what it is. Jesse, you going to the next game? It's at Belmore. I know you love a Dogs game at Belmore.
No, not this week, mate.
That's all right then. You were at this one last time, weren't you? When they pumped the Titans?
No, I went to the Dogs and the Raiders, and they beat the Raiders.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But Sunday Arvo at Belmore. Yuck.
Yeah, stupid time slot. But
I was able to take my daughter up last time we went. It was the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You need an Arvo at Belmore.
I absolutely disagree. I love the time slot. 5:15 for a Sunday on a Sunday arvo for us Queenslanders. How good
For
is this going to
telly,
be?
yeah, for
And I,
sure.
Yeah, for
wait,
telly it
Television.
is. We're talking live.
Mate, go down Belmore Road after a game. It's a freaking party
Crazy.
central, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
I know what you mean,
Anyway.
Jesse. It's a stupid time slot for a live crowd. Absolutely stupid for there. But hey, that's the NRL for you. Anyway, we love you, NRL. Sponsor the podcast. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
For the Bulldogs, they are, from what I can see, unchanged unless I've missed something. The only thing is Josh Curran is back. He starts on the bench. So just have a look at him and what he does minutes wise and who he eats into minutes wise as well. Somehow Kurtman, even after that nasty black guy, he has been named to play. Tough bugger here. He's turning into that new
Damn.
Cam McInnes, I feel like. So he's just getting whacked everywhere.
He's got one too many teeth.
Yeah, Titans. Do you want to do the honors here, Jess? Because I know you've been so big on the Titans for the last few weeks. I'll let you do the honors of the last team here, the Titans, and you maybe
no
both
drama.
split it because you've both been high on them.
Yeah, just been waiting to see how, I don't know, how hopefully good they've gotten with this side. But Keanu Keeney, number one, awesome to see him there. I don't think there was any doubt in it at the moment with this side. It looks pretty settled. Cam Pereira, Brian Kelly, Sammy, Jojo Fafita on the wing. Brimson and Campbell in the halves. So, yeah, really stoked. I'm super keen to see how this plays out, to be honest. I think they're both really good options in Supercoach. Campbell, I'm hoping tanks a little bit in price, but God, I love Brimson with that dual center. Freaking hell, man. He's going to be in my side very shortly. They've gone with Fodawaker and Campbell Gillard in the prop, so they've obviously got a wealth of talent to choose from. Their forward pack is unbelievable. Verrills in the 9. Cleese Haas has kept the second row, so he's got David Fafita on the bench. To shock every pod 2% owner of David Fafita from the kickoff. Yeah, didn't really get a starting lineup. I was very tempted to do the late switch last week to get Fafita in for this round, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. But I think it's really just a matter of time, maybe even kickoff before we see him starting. So could be just some Desi mind games going on. But both
I don't mind
Fermor on
him
the
off
other
the
side.
bench.
yeah.
Don't
mind him
go
off
off
the
that
bench.
too quickly. I don't mind him off the bench. I think he rips and tears.
Oh, I think he
Yeah.
kills it anyway. You know what I mean? But
20 minutes into the game, the speed of the game sort of died down, and in comes monstrous David Fafita. Holy moly!
Yeah.
I can't
just
wait to
wrecking
see
ball.
that.
Yeah. That's the thing. It just depends on how many. Like if he's 50 minutes, like he's got to make the most of that 50. But he'll probably still score 85 in 50 minutes pretty
Yeah, he will.
comfortably in 3 runs. Yeah. And the big one, Tino, back in the 13. So yeah, there's a lot of good things going on here. A lot of players. I'm very keen to see how things play out. They got Randall in the 14 too. So Jolliffe on the bench, Dave Fafita, and Brock Gray. Haven't really seen a lot of him personally. So mate, that's a solid forward pack. Like even the back line, the Titans on paper look like a deadly team. Seriously, yeah. It's just a shame we
It'd be
didn't get to
interesting to see
really
what
see too
happens with
much.
that forward rotation because I reckon Tino will start the game at lock, but I reckon Chris Randall will come in and replace probably, let's say, Fodawaker, who will go for a quick stint and then replace either Tino or Reg, who will be both the props by then. So I think Chris Randall, when he comes on, will play lock and probably play the rest of the game at lock, so probably a 60 or so minute stint. And then the other 3 would start to then interchange amongst each other and do that. But on paper, also they can all have some quality minutes, which can probably work out quite well. So
+2, I don't know if Verrills will be an 80-minute guy. Randall's obviously pretty, used to rotating with him as well. So like he played a lot of lock last year, but now that Tino's back, if they do want to give him some minutes, I reckon, Verrills might play 60 odd and he just does a bit more of a rotation. But yeah, no, look, like they can share it all. I think they all do get a pretty good little, spell of minutes regardless. But yeah, a lot of players I'm definitely keen to see, and I'm glad that we get an extra week to watch price wise.
Yep. Alrighty, that's the news. Team news. Trav, do you have anything to add for the Titans?
No.
All good. All right, let's get into a big talking point for this week. We're going to start with this before we get into, as you know, how all those listeners from last year, we talk about the captaincies, we talk about the top trade in and outs. But first, we thought we'll do the discussion around what to do this week. And there's plenty out there, and we've just spoken about it. Like it's actually comparing it to the last year or so. It's been quite a good start to the year in terms of scoring. The thing is, everyone has done the same sort of thing. So there's a lot of similar teams out there. What do you do? Do you hold strong? Do you hold on to your team or what you strongly believed throughout the preseason? Do you throw the toys out of the cot and make wholesale changes in terms of using a boost? Or do you basically just maybe make one or two and just prepare for next week, which is a guarantee? I think 95% of super coaches use a boost in round 3 to catch on to the cash that is available. So talk to us, boys. I'll hand the reins over. I'll listen in and see what you boys have to say.
Take it away, Trav.
So, I mean, it's very team dependent.
Yeah.
If you've got some problems, you've got to fix them. I don't hate. I don't have any problem with anybody using a boost or using trades this week. I think there are lots of people that are out there trying to trade out a whole heap of guys in terms of like your Luke Metcalfs. I mean, there's 10,690, 7.5% of trades or people are trading Luke Metcalf. That's a lot after 1 week. We watched trials and everyone raved about him and he was our savior at 5'8", right? So I can see sort of how people are wanting to trade him out. But I just also think it's a bit early. It was a 1 weeker. It was, it was over in Vegas. Webster, the coach, made some sort of wholesale changes, like literally the hour before the game. There's just a whole heap of things that don't match. So this is very team dependent. If you've got players who you've picked who are not playing this week, obviously you've got to look at trying to trade them. There's another thing that you've got to have a think about is trying to get ahead of the pack and what problems you may have next week. Because at the end of the day, even with a boost, you still only got 3 trades next week. Okay, so, if you've got to make 4 or 5, well, that's not happening. So maybe you do pick a Tamale this week and just bench it. Like at worst, he's not a bad 6th or 7th on the bench pick, right? But you're getting ahead of the pack. You're getting ahead of those problems. So you make that trade to come in. So you've got to think about that too. So this is not just a let's pick after round 1, ready for round 2 kind of thing. You're looking at round 4, round 5 and what you're doing here. And how you're going to do it. There has been moments this week where I've gone, I am not making a change. I'm looking at my list and every single one of them have got a green dot beside them. I think they're all going to play. They're all going to play decent and good minutes. I haven't everyone but Simpkins. He's enough, but they're all playing good minutes. But then there's also a part where I've gone, all right, I want to make one trade. Because I think I just don't like what I saw from Mamzelis last week in terms of his 37, but had 0 stats, did nothing other than tackle. And the way that he played and what I think Wayne Bennett did with him is a concern. So do I look at trying to trade him out now before I've got problems next week and have to make 3 trades or at worst make more? Which I can't do. So that's sort of one of my questions I'm asking myself. And the other one too is I'm asking myself is, do I look at a Seyfarth? Again, I didn't like what I saw from Seyfarth last week. I don't like how it was played out. I know it was an ugly game. I get that. But I actually think that there's going to be, the Tigers are probably going to have, based off what I saw, and my prediction's going to have more ugly games than good games. So I think that's going to affect him. Now, obviously, he missed the last 15 minutes, I think, from his HIA. I get that too. That's uncontrollable, but still, he scored 36. And there wasn't really much that happened. There wasn't really much that happened in that time that he was off. So therefore, to me, in a prediction, I don't think he's going to put too much more on too many more points on, right? So I'm looking at that and sitting there thinking, I think he's got to go. And at 435, for a few extra K, I can get him to Gilbert. Or, at worst, I sort of play with my jewels and I bring in a front row forward like a Gula and make 100 and something K and put White down. So there's all of these sort of things and options to play. I don't have a problem with people holding trades. I actually think that probably that's, I wouldn't say the best option, but probably the most optimal is to try and hold this week because you did, as you said, Joel. You've done a lot of research. You've listened to a lot of podcasts. You've looked at a lot of stats. You've sent many private messages to us and sent photos and said, this is what we think you should do. You've done all that. 1 week is a bit tough. especially because we all know, like, that first week, teams are sitting there for the whole preseason. Alas, a couple of teams that didn't turn up on the weekend, but are sitting there that whole preseason with this round one game penciled in as this is what we're doing. We're ready to go. And so there's all these players that have scored points or done things that won't do that again, or do that few and far between. So look, it's a very open answer. What you've really got to try and decide is forward plan and have a bit of a think about what's going to happen next week. Have a look at those buys. Who are those guys you want to get in? Where are you sitting with that? And do you really, are the minutes of what you saw from the players that you picked of what you were hoping for? And the way they played, did they play well enough? Like, are they playing that role? Because I think you've got a pretty good gist of the roles that they're going to play. Like for me, I'm looking at another one, like a Shibasaki, right? I've got Shibasaki, and I loved the way that the Broncos played on the weekend and the way that Ben Hunt plays and how Ben Hunt has freed him up and how that side of his with Shibasaki was just pushed with Ben Hunt. And so for me, there's Shibasaki is a no-brainer. You got to bring him in, right? So I'm looking at that type of thing and thinking, all right, so he's one of those perfect cases of the way that the game was played and the model of the way that the game was played fits perfectly for a guy that I want to keep and I want to have. And that's the type of stuff that I'm looking at for me. So a long-winded answer. It's very open, but it's a big conversation after 1 week of what to do.
Yeah, it's the biggest question that everyone's really asking right now is like, do I trade or do I hold them? And I think, in a perfect scenario, you nailed all your cheapies and you've got a pretty solid lineup and you scored 1,300. You know what I mean? And then you're not really in a position where you have to worry about a trade. But again, it's very dependent on, did you get the cheapies right, for one? Because I think, it's easy for us to all sit here and go, look, I've got Krzyzewski, Hubner, Toya, Shibasaki, Jesse Arthurs. 5 fantastic cheapies that all did very, very well and are all making big coin. They're 5 players that I don't have to worry about looking at next week when their prices change. If you don't have them, I would probably try and get them in now because the mindset is you want to be making the proactive trade. The money changes next week for a lot of these players, and then you've missed your first price change. You can only do those 3 trades like Trav mentioned. You kind of want to be set in a way where if there's 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys potentially that, you've got some players that just, Von Mega's a perfect example, played nothing, no minutes, very rough go. If you don't have a Hubner, I would be doing that trade personally this week. I'll do it right now because by next week, there's probably something else you want to do. There's probably a move you want to make. And if you waste this week not doing the trades, you're going to go into next week maximizing 3 of them. And then you've kind of missed, not in a way you've not missed the boat because you got like Kyle Lero last year was just exceptional for weeks and weeks and weeks. But if you didn't get him at 219K like he was, you missed it. 350, 450, all of a sudden he's unattainable. And then he's in the middle of the pack with the rest of them. So, there's guys that you sort of have to identify early enough. And it's the same with the ones that you want to downgrade from, like you mentioned as well. There's players that don't pass the eye test. It's a big thing, especially for week 1. It's don't have much to go off. But if they don't look good, like I know their role might be all right. If they just physically don't look right or the team doesn't look with it, I know it's hard to say with 1 week of reference, but like it's very hard to just go, I'm just going to ride this guy out. We saw it last year with all the mid ranges that didn't work. And we tried to keep faith and really just say, oh, they'll be okay. Like a Seyfarth could be okay in 12 weeks' time. He might bang out a couple of decent scores. Personally, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to sit there and just toil with them. If I can identify it now and just be like, look, this isn't happening, I'm going to just snip this one right off at the head before it starts off. I'm more than happy to boost this week personally. And it's not boosting for the sake of it. And it's probably been a little hasty, to be fair, because I didn't score terribly, but I'm ready to just cut ties before I've even made them. And just get some people in that I'm like, cool, that looked good. I'm happy to roll the dice. And if it backfires, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? But you got to stay on the front foot, I reckon, especially in these early days. You don't want to get left behind. Cash gen is definitely a priority, I would say, at the same time, but you do need to get these dudes in that are making some decent points. We got very lucky last week that all the cheapies went bang, but they're not going to do that every week. You're not going to get Toya popping 90s out. Maybe he will, maybe he does. Shibasaki, maybe they do. Jesse Arthurs traditionally, doesn't average 80, 94 points like he got. So, these scores are few and far between. So getting them early is very handy for cash, but it's very hard to bank on them doing that every week. So get your cashies right. Try and identify the ones that are probably going to shit the bed early if you can. It's very hard to predict the future, but I'm cutting ties with a couple of them, and I'm very keen to boost this week. So I just have to see if I can do it. But yeah, I would say at the end of it all, we've both been pretty long-winded, me and Trav, but super team dependent. If there's just things that you want to fix, if there's a dead set issue and you're like, you can fix it now, fix it now. Because come next week, you don't want to be fixing last week's things that you knew were a problem going into week 2 or 3, and you're like, there's still the same problem. And then you've lost potential to make proactive trades for really low break evens and players that you'll miss the boat on. So, yeah.
What you don't want to get
that's
stuck with is you don't make any trades this week, or you make the wrong trades this week, and next week it gets to going after the to get them in before their first game for the price rise, and you can't make 4 or 5 changes. You can only make 3. You don't want to get stuck with that, because like you don't want to miss out on a Tamale's huge break even, who in the perfect world plays another week and then ends up with a break even of 104 of minus 40, and he makes 130k in his first game, like in his first prize rise. And you don't want to miss that because you couldn't pick him, you couldn't play with that because you had other problems. We also know that injuries happen, right? They're always going to happen. So you always need to have that little trade up your sleeve kind of thing for that. I just want to quickly say, you've got 5 boosts for the year and you got 46 trades. You can only make 2 trades a week. The boost gives you a third until you get to buy rounds, where you get 3 trades for the buy rounds and 4 if you have a boost at the buy rounds. 3 trades in the buy rounds for the last couple of years for me has been more than enough. I think only once, and I was looking through it, or have I used 4 trades, and I've only done it once. And that was 2 years ago and I just didn't quite get my head around how buyers were working and what I wanted to do. And I didn't prepare well enough for it. And so I had to use 4. 3 trades is more than enough. I think last year it was one of us, was it you, Jesse, that got to the end of the year with a boost and you couldn't use it because you didn't have enough trades, something happened. Maybe it was me.
It was
you.
Joel.
Yeah. So you held on to a boost and couldn't use it because you didn't have enough trades. So at the end of the day, they're there to be used. You're still going to get 2 trades a week. Use them, fix them, get it here.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think holding and banking on it. I think it'd be nice to use. I definitely will use. Well, it's hard to say because I might get everything right, and all of these people that I hold on to this week are going a gun ho, and I don't need to make a trade next week. But it's more likely that that's not going to happen. So, I'm probably going to use a boost next week, and I'm probably going to do it again in week 4 or in round 4 so that I can get Storm dudes in. So, I by the end, it could be a very big possibility. I've used 3 boosts before round 5. So and then I'll just hold on to 2 for the rest of the year, which is not a problem. I don't see a problem with that.
Well, that's the thing too. By the time you get to Origin, I reckon I'll have used all 5 of my boosts by probably round 8, realistically. Maybe even round 6, because I'm freaking using one this week, and I'll be using one next week, and I'll be using one for sure in round 4 because I've already lined that trade up perfectly. So, there's all these things, and I won't probably plan more than a month's trades away because things can change overnight. But then you get to Origin, you get 3 more, and then you start looking at your trades, and you're in the, if you're in the 15s, the 20s, say 15, and you have a boost on hand, there's no way I'm using a boost with that many trades left. You know what I mean? You don't have enough to really justify using 3 in a week, I would say. So same thing that Joel probably got to. You probably would have had 4 trades left and a boost, and you thought, well, I can use them all, 3 of them now, but I've still got 4 or 5 weeks to go. You're just not going to do that. So you may as well use them early. Get your team set up on the right path, which is the whole point of them, I would say, and then just let it go because you get 3 more again during Origin with shortened squads. So essentially you get 8 boosts by round, 19?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's one way to look at it. And 3 of them are free. So I'm just go hard early, set up, correct yourself, you know what I mean? Get yourself on track, put yourself on the front foot. And you've got loads of them, but just as well, you do burn through your trades at the same time. Last year, I think I went the last 5 weeks with no trades. And they were my best 5 weeks. Every week was a really good push up. So, as long as your team's set up well enough, you don't need to. But while it's early days and the season is young and you're looking at 46, I'm more than happy to burn a couple. So happy to get through them.
I'm on a slightly different path, obviously with my 1,332 point score on the weekend. I'm kind of holding firm this week. I keep looking at my team, and there is a couple of little things that I want to look at, but I'm being a little bit caution. Like, I'm not happy with White, for instance, but at the same time, I'm not happy with him. But he scored a 43, which is above his price, so he still is on the way to getting a price rise. It might be small, but it's not the end of the world. And he's got it dual. And for 2 weeks ago, I said that's the reason I got him into my team, is for that dual factor. So, I'm not going to panic on that one because I still value that. And then while they've got another injury or two in the forward pack, I just sort of, I'll hold off that. Like Mamazelos, I wasn't that pleased with. Again, he's priced at 300K and he got a 37. I'll probably look at Riley Smith, but I want to see one more week, which has me a little bit nervous because I do think he can probably score quite well this weekend. It might be the only trade I end up doing. I might go to that. You've both sort of talked me into that just to figure out that extra 100K cash, which could be huge for next week to use. But I don't think I'm not even tempted to use Boost yet. We'll probably talk about it in the trade in and outs, but Purdue and Duffy have been spoken about so far. I'm going to wait to see the Cowboys play a game where they actually can attack a little bit and not just be bashed basically from the kickoff, and see if those two cheapies can actually start to produce what we were hoping they can produce. But yeah, I'm probably at this stage at most we'll do one trade and just wait. And like you both said, I had that round 4 penciled in. I had probably the double boost coming up for next week and the week after, because I've been big on the Storm from there as well. I want probably Howarth. We were very big on him from the start. I'll probably want to end up making either Dewey or Metcalf, Munster as well. So there's 2 plays that I want to make that I'll probably need to do that using a boost and freeing up a little bit of cash with the cheapie. So early plans for mine for now, just having that nice early start, I guess. I'm happy to probably go one at most, but that's not set in stone yet.
Yeah, my round 4 is, I'm so keen for round 4. I'll be cutting ties with one of the big dogs in my fullback.
Oh,
I'll be bringing in Lil Dog and Pappy Boy. So there's a lot of things that I want to happen in round 4, and I'm super keen for it because, between Paps bloody 133 with his break even through the ground, and then you got Howarth in the exact same boat, and Eli Katoa, I've got a lineup of 3, and providing the price falls where I need it to with a couple of them, I might be able to, boost the cashy up for like a Howarth and then stepping stone him up again. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to use these early boosts for, is just very quick, instant cash growth. Go bang, bang, bang. By the time you're in round 8, your team value is probably hopefully up maybe $1.5 million, $2 million, give or take, if you can really get it right. And just try and really push forward. That was the problem. Like last year, we kind of got sucked into just dealing with what we had and trying to just work around it and put up with a 45 every week from a Smithies. And he's a really good example because bloody hell, he wasn't bad enough to really rush out, but he wasn't good enough to do anything productive with. And that's the thing that I'm sort of trying to avoid this year. It's either I want the guns or I want the cheap that's making coin, and really no in between. Just flip them as soon as they get to where they're up to. So,
and that's the thing with and Trav mentioned it with Sandon Smith, for instance. Like everyone was saying how bad his game was, and yes, I know one of it was a try, but he's still got a 50 priced at 237. And in my thinking, I'm like, he's not going to score a try every week, but he may be able to fluke a try assist as well, or maybe 2, depending on who they verse each week. And we've all said from the start, if our hooker can average around that 50 mark and produce that, we were happy with going Sandon Smith. So about 60-minute mark, I was very worried. And then he came back late with a bang. So happy with that. I'm just, as you both said, looking at maybe to find ways to increase cash in that second spot. I think the forgotten person at the moment who's really helped me out, I've realised, is Horsburgh, and that score he's produced and just the way he's going to be playing. Because I know people out there have the double stack of like your Haas in May, or maybe Fasu or Malawi in May. But for me, I'm so happy at the moment sitting with Horsburgh in May it saved me a fair bit of money. So I was able to go triple big dogs at second row, which did. I know Preston was slightly under, but still wasn't like, if that's going to be his worst game, I'll take that every day of the week. Was able to go some decent center wings, which has sort of helped me. So Horsburgh for mine's been a very underrated player. It's only been 1 week, I know, but even this week, I look at it without Tarpany in. Touch wood, I don't want to jinx him, but I just look at that and go, honestly, it could well be another 60 odd points from him.
I think you pretty much expect 60 from him from this point on. 50 minimum, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see how he, in any game that Horsburgh plays, he doesn't score at least 50 with, his work rate, his offloads. The points will just magnetize to him. It's really good. And the duel, and he's 350. Like, he's just the blessing that we needed, you know what I mean? And, you can definitely run a May and Horsburgh front row combination. My front row combination it was that last week, and at the moment I'm looking at a bloody Haas, Tino, May front row collective with Horsburgh in the 4. Like, it's just, it's red hot. All the big dogs. And I spoke about it. I remember in one of the chats too. I mean, like, you know what? We always neglect front row, but I feel like I don't want to anymore. Because these dudes average more than the second rowers half the time. Especially those 4 anyway, that can.
So just another spanner in the works. We spent a lot of time talking about this, but another spanner in the works is that there's a whole heap of Gold Coast Titans dudes that are going to come by round 4, and they'll have their price rise. So that's why getting in early with some of these boost and trades is important, because you're going to need to when we've got the Storm coming off the Penrith game and thereby you've got the Titans as well, round 2, round 3, looking at that. So you've just got to start to get in a little bit early too with some of your trades.
Yep, because there's a few even suspended. Savage is really low break even. He won't get a price change till round 4. The Dragons won't get a change till round 4. The Storm will be on round 4 as well.
Yep.
The Knights have a buy in round 4, so that's a really awkward one because they will have had their price change already. And then, there's potential if you really need to move someone for that price change, use your Knights guys, because we've probably all got a couple. So there's things that you can work around, but again, like, you don't want to leave it to that week if you can proactively get them in prior, and then things will go on the fly. So, yeah.
Talk to us, Jesse. Trade in and outs. Let's get into it.
Yeah, well, I banked a little bit of cash at the end of last round, and I probably took the wrong second rower between my choice of Olakau'atu or Preston, and I went with Preston. I just like their draw more, to be honest, and obviously I know what Olakau'atu can do, and I know what Preston can do, so I went with that way, and it saved me an extra 60, but I went into this week with 124,500, which was a lot. Like, I usually go with nothing.
Hang on. I want the top trade in and outs, not yours yet. We're not getting to that.
Oh, we're going trades, like trades.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking our own trades.
No,
Sorry, mate.
not yet.
Okie dokie. Well, for the top most traded out, Trav said it before, it's Luke Metcalf. And you know what? I get it. He looked terrible. But in that position at 5'8", there's only one other guy that I would really, 2 maybe. Brimson and Munster are the only other guys that I would want to go up. There's nowhere to go down from him. So you have to go up. And Munster's on a bye this week. It's like, just play Metcalf. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world.
Got the dogs.
Yeah.
A little smoky for that. A little smoky for that is Strange.
Yeah, I know, but like,
and
he scored really well.
He's 40k more. Yeah, go. You said he played well.
Yeah, like, Strange played really well. So what, scored 2 tries, didn't he? I think it was 2 or 1.
Yeah,
I think it was 2.
2, I think. Yep.
Yeah, 2 tries, played well. 89 points without them. It's probably half of that at least. You'll still take a 40, 50 pointer. That's pretty much what he's priced at. But I think that's pretty much what you'll get. And it's not bad. Like, admittedly, he's been very, very little talk around Strange. He has pretty decent average as a floor. So there is an option there for it. Very low ownership. If you really wanted to, 40k, it's not hard to find it. So, that is a way out. But again, I don't know if it's really too different. Like, we haven't really seen the Metcalf that we're expecting to see. We just saw a bad game, like a really bad game. So I'm probably keener to give
everyone
Metcalf.
will have.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, you don't even get his score. Like, who scored less than Metcalf this week? Casey McLean. If you had Casey McLean, that sucks. But if you didn't get Metcalf's score anyway. So, Yeah, it's
Does
it's
it,
like it's one of those things. You've got a
it
safety blanket now. Like
it's yeah, you're right, and you've also got the safety blanket of that it's only 1 week of a bad score.
yeah,
So this round one is only going to affect a rolling lockout of 1 week, whereas in any other like this round two score is going to have 2 weeks. It's going to sit in your rolling lockout, right? So maybe that's something to explain a little bit more better, Jess, in your articulate, nerdy brain. But
thanks.
yeah, this week, like even some like this DCE's monster 133 score is only going to get one affection of effectively one price rise out of it.
Yep.
Would be nice to have had a 133 at say round 4, and so then over round 4 or round 5, round 6 and round 7 he gets it for 3 weeks, right? And it becomes a
Yep.
rolling lockout. This is only 1 week of it, so that bad score is only 1 week. So that you've got, that's also something to also consider, and maybe you can nerdily talk that better.
You kind of explained pretty much all of it, but yeah, the rolling lockout, especially for the new players that haven't really seen it too much and are expecting prices to change now, a player's price won't change for 3 games that they play, not necessarily the team or anything else. That player needs to play 3 games. So there are suspended guys. You've got guys that are ruled out concussion that haven't played the 3 or 2 like their teams have. Those individuals will get the extra week until they have met their 3. But it works off a 3 game rolling average. So it'll count game 1, game 2, game 3. And then when you get to game 3, when game 4 comes into play, that first one drops off. And then it just keeps leaping that average over and over and over. So 1 drops, 4 starts, then 2 becomes that game, and then it just keeps moving in a group of 3 as a rolling average for their break evens. So yeah, by the time we get to their first price change, which will be round 3, by the time that round's done, round 1's gone. So the big hitters, so Tuipulotu with his massive game, Pappenhausen, he will get a very quick early cash rise unless he has 2 quiet games between now and then. Big game will drop off as soon as round 4 starts, and his average, if he goes 130, 40, 40, if he scores a 40, in round 4, well, they got to buy, but if he scores that game, then that 133 is gone anyway. So his rolling average is 40. So his break even is based off that average, not the one that's just gone. So yeah, you'll get the hang of it pretty quick. If you're still a bit confused about how it works, but yeah, the round 1 score is the most pointless really when it comes
Yeah.
to the overall price grouping, because it's the first to drop off very quickly. So not too much to look into, and especially low scores. Don't worry about the low scores. Like Metcalf, for example, he's 12, or even McLean too. I think McLean's break even at the moment is 87. Um, by the time round 4 comes, okay, you expect McLean to probably lose maybe 50, 30K, give or take. He'll make that back pretty quick. Like they're not super expensive where they're going to be plummeting. Like they're not 700K plummeting 300. They're probably going to be losing maybe 50 at the most in a single drop. But then, 2 weeks later, they get a good game or 2, and then there's a break even straight back up again. So the prices fluctuate, but they don't really deviate too far unless there's like a really single digit low score right in the midst of it all. So yeah, it's not panic stations round 1. If it's if you get into round 2, round 3, and there's a really bad one in there, I'd be a little bit more concerned about it. But round 1 you can let slide. But yeah, on that, Metcalf is still the most traded player. So people just didn't like what they saw. Um, number 2 in the most traded out, I couldn't believe it actually when I saw it. It was Stefano. Utoi Kamanu from Melbourne. So he scored quite low. I think he scored in the 30s, and they're on a bye this week. So you knew he was on a bye in round 2. That was always the case.
So yeah, so like last week's
Uh,
game against
Got a
Para, just
34.
yeah, and it
y-
just doesn't. It just didn't work against the big bopper like him. They didn't need him to
mm,
do what he like that. Like the just the run just dominated Para, and Para just had no answers. And it was literally one run off the set, and the second, third set, you gave it to the ball runners or out the wing, and off they went. And so it just went away from him. It was just one of those games where it just went away from him. That's
yeah,
not going to happen very often. Look, the Storm are going to do and are going to beat teams like they beat Para. A few times in the year. That's going to happen because they're a good side. and so that may end up getting away from him. But more often than not, the ball's going to be in Stefano's hands, having to make those big runs and do those tackle busts and break those lines. He's going to have to do it. He just didn't have to do it that last week. So people there's a whole chunk of words that are, or not words, but notion of people trading because they didn't like that he only got that 34 last week, but didn't actually watch the game. And then the other thing too is that, yes, as you said, Jesse, they've got the bye this week, but you bought him because you knowing that he had the bye. So it makes and also that they've got Penrith afterwards. So it doesn't make sense to me. You're now wasting a trade. You brought him in at 5:30. He wasn't cheap at 5:30. You knew he was going to have this bye. You knew he was going to play Penrith. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. This is one of those ones that don't make sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, you look at his price, 530. The only people around his price directly that I'd be like, who are you really going to without spending up is probably Lindsay Smith. I think they're almost identical in pricing. So, and he's really appealing. But again, it's just one of those games. Like, they're not going to play Parramatta Eels every week. Unfortunately for them, they probably wish they could. But yeah, in a game where it's so dominant attacking wise and they're scoring tries for fun, it's like, what's the front row really going to do? Like, it's just there to be there. Everyone's scoring tries outside of him. So a bit surprising to see him as the second most traded. But
when
more than half of those trades are to Payne Haas. So
Exactly.
they're having to find 140K. Sorry, Joel, my bad.
I was literally about to make that point, and I'm sorry to say, but if you can make that play happen, I'd be doing that every day of the week. I know what you're saying, but when we're comparing Stefano to Payne Haas, if I'm that super coach, I know exactly why they're doing it. So
yeah, 140K is a lot of money to try and get to that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I said if you're going to go sideways, the only one there that I would look at, because Smith scored in the 70s, and that was just him just being an animal too. If you got the extra 140K, 100%, like, you go up to Payne Haas, no problem at all. But again, it's like, okay, you've got to find 140K now. The team that you've just set as your starting team, we were trying to find 20K and struggling. So, like, where are you finding 140 and not ripping it almost in half? You know what I mean? Just to you're dropping a big dog somewhere. It has to be somewhere. So, yeah, I see it. I see the upside. Jesus Christ, like, Payne Haas got 104 points. Like, he's an animal. I'd take the extra 70 for the 140K. Like, that's definitely worth the money. But again, it's just like, it's a lot of foresight. Like, you kind of knew this was going to happen. So,
and that
maybe
Payne
not.
Haas score was in a game where they tore shreds off their opposition as well. So it was a similar style game, and Payne showed that a prop forward can still score quite well. Granted, yes, you are paying up for it, but I'm talking about this from a point of view where I have never been big on the Stefano play to start with the year. So I'm also conceded. Like, as you both said, I don't know why you started with him to start with. So I personally think there was much, much better options to start the year. I think even Trav said it, like, to start with Storm players he avoided. I did the same thing because of this early. I knew we were probably going to cost ourselves in round one with a couple of nice scores, which a couple of people did get onto. But now for the next 2 weeks, I reckon you'll find that it's cost you short term, perhaps long term. It's a good play, but yeah.
But no, 100%. And I started with Munster, knowing that I had to use Metcalf this week. And a lot of people want to trade Metcalf out, but I just knew, like, after this round, Munster's my guy anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, Stefano, maybe not so much. Number 3, Ty Munro.
Injured.
God, man, I was so keen on Ty Munro. I said I was getting keener and keener on him pre-season as it sort of got closer and closer. Look, man, the guy's a goer, and now he's just gone and done his collarbone again. So it sucks. I really feel for him because, like, I just want to see him get a good season, consistent football, and just watch him score all the tries in the world. But it's not to be, unfortunately. So
at half time, I was looking at ways to bring him in. I was like, this has to happen.
Yeah, no, it's always the way. You watch 20 minutes of Ty Munro and you're thinking, how the hell do I get him in my team? And then collarbone. So,
well,
that's
at least
a trade.
They got the 65 off him. So,
exactly.
Unfortunately, you got a good score, but you're going to have to trade him. He's injured. Yep.
Yep. So he's definitely the most warranted trade out so far on this list that we've seen. That's a player that you trade out right now, and you don't really think too much of it. Dimitri Varmaga, he's definitely on the chopping block too. Very low minutes. Again, just who knows what the rotation looks like, but he definitely doesn't look like a buy with a couple of the other second row options. So
most of those trades are to Goz.
Yeah, Goz or Hubner, either of the two. I think you can't really go wrong with either of them for a sideways trade because
I dare say
not going.
I dare say if you
anywhere.
pick Varmaga, you probably didn't have one of Goz or Hubner. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're really probably only going to be
Crazy.
rolling with two of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two of those cheap second rowers. Just put him to the one that you don't have because it's an
Yep.
easy switch. Jackson Purdue's number 5, so um, I could pretty much foresee. I haven't looked at any of these like player trades out from one to the other, but I reckon Purdue's probably most popular trade would be to Tamale,
No,
Shibasaki.
Shibasaki.
it's Shibasaki. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's another one too, and you actually bank a little bit of money as well. So for those that didn't start with Shibasaki, Toya, yeah, for a bit more, Arthur's is probably a little bit out of reach, but Purdue, Tamale, like there's a good crop of cheapies right now, like really good. Get them now because their prices will go up. Like they are definitely going to go up. And if you do it next week, you should have done it this week because there's no difference. You just can't do anything else. So I just
Yeah.
don't know if I'd be trading Purdue yet, personally.
No.
I was about to
He's
say
not on
I'd
my
wait
list.
a week.
Yeah.
I agree. We're all on the same path. I'd wait a week. I mean, you saw in the trials how talented this dude is. Yep, he sucked on the weekend. So did the whole Cowboys team, basically, except Bateman. Let's be honest. Other than Bateman, the whole team sucked.
It's a good call on Bateman, wasn't it, Trav?
It was a good call, except neither of us started with him. But
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
you
good
know,
talk, boys.
as I said, we're good at giving advice. We just don't take our own advice. But
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're not going to get belted. I just don't see Cowboys getting belted like that very often.
Mm.
It just didn't work for him. And there's not much a center can do when your team's getting no go ahead, getting nowhere, and your halfbacks are not getting it to you. There's nothing he can do about it.
He's got freaking Ola Kawatu running into him every night.
Yeah.
Like that is not going to happen all the time. He's not going to have Ola Kawatu in front of him every day.
One-man wrecking ball.
Bashing his halves partner who would be trying to set him up in Dearden every single set as well. So Dearden was bashed out of the game and Purdy couldn't take advantage of that as well. So I'm speaking from someone who actually had Purdy last week in my starting 4 as well. So I got stung by that score. I was a bit disappointed, but I'm waiting at least one more week to see what we can get from him up there. Sharkies, yep, they're good. They should beat them. But I just want to see what we can see because that, like you both said, trial form. You don't read too much into it, but even that and some of his stuff last year, and like he's a good player. So
yeah, you can hold out for him. But again, if you do need to go down from anyone, it is an extra 20k. So it's pretty handy. Jeremiah Nanai, number 6. I was actually surprised this many people had him to begin with. See him on the list to be traded out. So there's almost 3,000 people that are trading.
Got to
out
go.
Nanai.
Get rid of him. 619k. He's been dropped. Like he's not injured. He's not got a HIA. He's not suspended. He's been dropped. Get rid of him. You can literally get him to anybody. But if you've got Nanai and you don't have any one of Ola Kawatu,
Lucas,
even Hopgood,
Plath.
Lucas, Plath. Like you've just got options. Just make a trade. Be happy
Bateman.
with it. Good choice.
Yeah,
Bateman's
for 100k less.
For 100 more than 100k, yes, yep, definitely.
Yeah, Gilbert for 150 plus. Like there's so many options. That's the thing. And you look at the Nanai pick, I'm thinking, God, you had a plethora of really good players to choose from, and Nanai was your option.
You went a pod.
They all went a pod. Super pod
because of apparently how good he is on offense, which he is. But
Jack White. I think the room. Jack Whiten. Again, another one. I was surprised, of his ownership. But again, 486k, the dual with the 5.8. We went looking for him. So, he's suspended this week.
Yeah.
It's like, he's suspended.
I think that's more a corrective trade. People have stuffed up. They've got him.
Yeah.
He's now got suspended. Correct it. Don't mind it.
Yeah.
Good trade.
That's
this
fair.
next one.
He's not really super viable anyway. So, there are other options. And I don't think you've got him in your 5.8, do you?
Surely
maybe.
Not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. This one is shocking.
Ridiculous.
Harry Grant.
He's a keeper.
He's a keeper. He's a set and forget. And the thing is, right, and it's exactly the same as what we said for Stefano, only Harry Grant's a superstar, is that you picked him knowing that he has the bye. What are you doing? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And to me, unless, like, I don't get it. Like, you're probably going down to a Starling or whatever and banking cash, but it's bloody Harry Grant. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways.
If you've got Harry Grant, your backup hooker, there are so many other ones. You got Sandon Smith is probably your backup because he's so cheap.
Except you don't want to play him this week against Penrith, but yeah.
Well, if you had to,
take the hit.
He's going to drop out on your flex. That's why I'm just like, just leave him. Like, it's Grant. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
If he's on a buy,
691k for him.
Yeah, and that's unders for Harry Grant. Like, you're going to lock down the best hooker in the game. He's going to score 60 plus most of the time anyway. Like, it's just, yeah. A bit reactionary to a bad game. And he scored, he did score respectably well without the try. It's probably a lot less, but yeah.
It wasn't a bad game either. I've spoken about this with this Melbourne spine before. They can literally read the game, and they know if the others are on like Pappy was, they'll take a backward step. And that's exactly what Grant did on the weekend. He just fed it. That's all he needed to do.
Still got 61, just to be fair.
And Scott,
and he didn't need to do a lot. And that's why, you got a break. So did Jerome Hughes. Like, when they're rolling that hard and they're winning that much, these guys are going to get a rest, and they're not going to really push it as hard. In a closer game, it's a whole different story. And still got that prize. Exactly. Don't trade Harry Grant.
Next one.
9, Casey McLean. So obviously McLean is named now because his concussion protocols ended. Ended on a 4, has a really high break even. But for all the reasons that we just spoke about with the rolling averages, I don't think I'd do it. I like that edge that he's on. I like his price.
I'd be giving it another go. The only reason why he got a 4 was because he got knocked the hell out, right? He's playing the Roosters. He plays for Penrith.
Ton up.
He's just gonna, like,
there's every chance
he'll score huge. And again, like, that 4 is literally only sitting in his price rise for 1 week. He's 440k. Just sit on it. Like, it doesn't. That to me just doesn't make any sense.
Can I take a very small price hit for what will come back in dividends? You know what I mean? But
can I also just say when we say this sort of stuff is all with cash, I think some people always then forget about points as well. And I just want to reiterate, like, think about points as well, guys. Like, he's versing the Roosters, and the Roosters will bounce back surely, but we're all anticipating the Panthers should put a number on the Roosters here. And whether McLean looks like he might be losing some kind of money next week, look at the matchup. Like, seriously, he's got every right to close that gap considerably, if not fix it up, and score a really good score. And if you've got him in your team, you're playing him in your top 4 for sure. So
I would say so. And then that's the thing too, like, Roosters this week, cool. But then you make the argument, but they play Melbourne in round 3, and that's a hard matchup. It's like, yeah, it is. McLean's played 1 game against Melbourne before. He scored 87 points. So, like, I expect that game to be pretty close, but it's 1 game again, and then they follow that up with the Rabbits, and then you expect them to just walk the Rabbits. So, yeah, especially players from teams that are juggernauts, I would take the hit most of the time.
And he's an easy downgrade next week as well. Easy downgrade option too. There's 5 or 6 you could easily go down for, free up 200 odd K and make some huge.
I'd consider McLean almost a trade in, because before he got knocked out, it was a very small sample size. The game was only just started, but he was going. Like, he was putting his head in places pretty rough. That's why he got knocked out. But he was going for it, man. He was going for it. So, yeah, it's. I look at this list and I'm thinking, God, these are reactionary. But and the last one, number 10, Mitch Barnett.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that was Joel. 2,500. It's very low percentage, but again, he's the exact same price as Payne Haas. So it's like, I can understand why people are like, damn, I got the wrong one. I'm just going to fix this up and grab Payne Haas. And, like, I don't hate it, but at the same time, like, I don't love it at all. I really don't. I just don't think it's worth doing. Barnett's got good games in him. Like, we saw it last year. We know what kind of player Barnett is. He's got a duel, but are the Warriors going to do it? Is he going to have the platform to do what he did last year? This year, do you just want to not have to worry about the headache and get Payne Haas and just let it ride? Fair enough. Like, I understand the trade, but yeah, not for me.
Again, he had an absolutely shocking. Oh, the Warriors had a shocking game. Sorry, he still scored a 55.
Yeah, he like
nothing went according to plan for him. And again, like even your Payne Haas's, they're going to have a bad game at some point this year where 55 or maybe even lower is what they score. So. Again, the dual factor for Mitch Barnett, I don't know if I'll be trading him this week. I'd let him have 1 more go probably just to see what that for. I reckon surely 2 weeks ago was a slap in the face for Webster to see what he's doing with this forward rotation, and he fixes that up.
Yep, 100%. I'll quickly go through the trade-ins. We've kind of spoken all about these guys too, and they're all the relevant cashies, but Shibasaki's the most traded in. That left edge of the Broncos looks fantastic. Jesse Arthurs is number 4 most traded, and they're on the same side. So if you've got them both to start, awesome. If you don't, get them in probably ahead of time. So that's what I'd be doing. Payne Haas is number 2 most traded in. So looks so impressive, so dangerous, freak.
11,655 people are getting him in. It's so many.
It's a
So
lot.
many after 1 week.
And I
It is a lot.
pretty much am one of them at this stage. So welcome to the club, Pain Ass. I want to see that more. So yeah, look, I loved what I saw from him. The minutes were down, the output was way up. He went ballistic in his stints and just dominated. Honestly, just looked really, really healthy, really good. So I get it. I see it. I think for his price at 660, I feel like we kind of overlooked him a bit because we were, saw the shining lights and the Terrell Mays and Corey Horsburghs of the world, and we just thought, geez, we can just get a very comfortable front row for a mil. Why wouldn't you? Why would you pay up anything over Terrell May essentially because of what he can do? But we saw what he can do. We saw what Fanua Blake can do. If you don't get these guys early, like last year, the ones that got on Fanua Blake early really benefited for it, and then the ones that got him quite late, like I definitely got him in pretty late in the buy rounds. I think you both had him as well at some stage.
Yeah, I got him late.
We got him late. Yeah, so you got him early. You got to enjoy that whole ride, and you didn't have to worry about paying overs for it. I feel like we're in the same position with Payne Haas right now. Is if we kind of don't do it, it's going to be one of those trades that you get in really, really late and you don't get on, and he's just going to keep banging 80s out like Fanua Blake did. So I don't want to miss that train, because it hurt last year. But I like that trade. Gajewski as well. So 4 Broncos to start. Very impressive team. Killed it. I just think they're all good value. So not bad. Robert Toy, number 5. Looks like an animal. Yep, definitely get him. I can't imagine anyone doesn't have him. If he's already the highest owned player.
4,898 didn't.
Silly gooses.
But yeah, get him. I don't see a problem with it. If you don't have him, get him. Find a way. I don't care who you trade him to. Get him. I know he plays Penrith, but get him. He's 198k. He's just got a 90.
With a minus 49.
He's going to skyrocket in price, even with a poor game against Penrith, more than likely expected. Just get him.
Yeah, he's booming. Tamale, again, I would wait a week, see what happens next week. If he's named, get him. Same deal. Him and Tamale and Toya are just tackle busting machines. Like, they're exactly what you want for a really cheap center wing, easy cash. Satili Tupanua, number 7. What?
Wait.
What are you doing?
Wait.
Why?
Because he got 130, didn't he? 104. Sorry, that's to me. That's people not understanding the rolling lockout. So they've seen 104 and gone, he's going to skyrocket in price. He is more than likely on the weekend going to get a 20 or 30, right? So that 104 that he's just got is just going to disappear after 1 week. Like it's one price rise. So that's to me that just screams people not understanding that.
Chasing the points on that one.
Yeah, I'd probably though say what might help into this is Sam Hughes news is he's out for about 6 weeks. So that means Tupanua's minutes are probably more guaranteed to be a bit higher. I'd probably say he'll average around 50, I reckon, while Sam Hughes is out. He'll play a bit more middle. So,
but he did that for the Roosters.
I still wouldn't get on him. I still wouldn't get on him, but
yeah, it just depends. Like he had those games for the Roosters where 35 points in 55 minutes off the bench. And then he would play 20 minutes and score a try and score 70. Like it's so hit and miss with him. But he looked better in that one stint at the Dogs than he's looked at the Roosters for the last 3 years. So yeah, who knows if he really wants to turn it up, man. We could see Tupanua at his best, which is really, really good, to be fair. He's a quality player. And if the Dogs get the most out of him, these 4,800 people they're well ahead of us. But yeah, I'm not doing that at all. Number 8, Ethan Strange. Yeah, sorry, Trav. Ethan Strange is number 8 most traded in. So there's your Metcalf replacement if you were going to one. Yeah.
Love it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. Trade. Ola Kawatu, number 9, 3,700. So pretty much the same price as Payne Haas. With the amount of jewels that we've all got, if you're doing that trade, you probably don't have him in one or the other. Payne Haas is the guy, it seems, when you weigh the two of them up. So Ola Kawatu, the run is fantastic. He was a freak. He didn't even play 70 minutes. I think he played 65 minutes as well. Got a bit of a sit down. So yeah, really good. That team looks freaking nuts, honestly. So we'll see how they look away. And then Cherry Evans, number 10. So I've worked out a way to get Cherry Evans into my side this week to see if I could do it. I can. I like it. I don't think I will do it, but yeah, look, he's going to have a really, really low break even starting off, and he's a ticket up if the halves don't work out.
You wait a week?
Yeah, you would. It's currently 2. I would wait a week. we have a very, very large sample size of Cherry Evans. We know exactly what Cherry Evans does all the time. He does have the blowout games like that. They're not going to play a team as bad as they did all the time. He's most commonly going to get you
They
that
are playing the
60
Warriors.
to 70. Yeah, but the Warriors are at home this time. They were in Vegas. To be fair, we look at the Warriors in that Vegas game and we think how bad the Warriors were. They were not even anywhere close to the worst team of the week.
Yeah.
They were nowhere
Yeah.
near it. We go, God, the Warriors suck so bad. It's like, well, let me introduce you to the Eels, the Cowboys, and the Roosters. The Warriors would beat all three of them if that was to come down. So, yeah, I reckon the Warriors put a bit more of a fight. I just want to see. But Cherry Evans, man, he's always a good pick. He's always a good pick. He's 600K. Like, it's not a bad price for him if you don't have the money to go much higher. But if you've got Duffy, it's like, geez, where are you finding, almost 500K from? It's very hard early on. So,
Well, if
The
you
other thing is-
pod played Daily Cherry Evans last week, like we all spoke, we said we would in the preseason instead of getting Cleary, you're 70 points better off. But we didn't.
I'll still
do
take Cleary. I'll still take Cleary.
Man,
I was going to say that Cleary's about to versus the Roosters, so you wouldn't be making that trade this week. That's why I'm saying you'd at least wait till next week if you were doing Cleary downgrade to Cherry. So
yeah,
You're not downgrading anyone from Cleary. I reckon once you have him, you got him. But yeah, he's always an option. We always talk about him.
agreed.
Congrats to the ones that got him because freaking that's his best score of a long time.
they listen to us, obviously. Thank you, guys. They listen to us. We said load up on these big four Manly players, and obviously people did do it. We didn't. We didn't.
Well, I got Alakua too, and
You
Turbo.
got 3, Joel. The only
Garrick.
one that you don't have is I got 2.
Yeah,
The only one is
I've got
DCE.
3. I got 3, so I'll take that. And I'll take the Cleary, 68, whatever.
Mr. Big Dog.
BCs and Cs, eh? Let's discuss
Um,
those for this week. For me, early stages is Cleary the C, Turbo the game before with the V. Obviously, I think Ponga tomorrow night is also the temptation, but I don't think that'll be a walkover at all. I think that'll be a very close affair. I don't think the Dolphins will give the Knights too much. They'll be in the thick of it, so I'm not that keen on that play, but I guess I'd probably be the other one that me personally would be able to make.
Ponga's a really good shout against the Dolphins, man. He's played 2 games against them. Round 27 last year and round 23 the year before. 106 and a 121. So
He's in.
he's in.
Straight C.
Lock him down. They're at home on Thursday. Like, it's not a bad shout for a Ponga play, especially for a VC. That's kind of the only point you do for it. With the Turbo option as well, again, man, his last 3 games against the Warriors, 105, 82, 191. Boom. 2021 was a hell of a year. So, he's an awesome option for it as well. And then you look at Cleary. Look, traditionally with the Roosters, maybe not as much, but it's this new Roosters now where, I could probably score 80 points against them. So 82, 82, 84, very consistent. But yeah, they were a much better side than this one is. So I'm going to see Cleary, and I'll be putting the VC on Turbo, but contemplating a Ponga play at the same time.
Follow me,
I'll leave
son.
it as it is.
Follow me, son.
It's the most popular option at the moment this week. I think the vast majority of super coaches are doing that exact play. So we're all following you, son.
They're copying me. It's all good. It's all
They
right.
are.
The
Yeah, they can't
Supercoach
all be you.
universe is all coming into one.
You pleb.
Trav, are you coming on board?
I'm just going to go backwards and go Bulldogs Titans. There's no one in that really interests me, so I wouldn't be looking at anyone to a VC or C. Penrith, Parramatta versus West Tigers. The only one that I think might be a sneaky, but geez, it'd be a big balls play. It'd be I think Terrell May will just destroy the Eels on Sunday afternoon. So that's a big balls play, but
That's huge.
But I think
dogs.
that could be, potential. There are people out there that don't mind doing a pod play. So the Raiders Broncos game, I think I don't know if there's anyone on that I'm really enticed into. I kind of like Reece Walsh and think he might run rings around the Raiders in Canberra, but I'm just not going to take anyone in that game. I've seen lots of people talk about Hines and giving the Cowboys a bit of a touch up. I need to see it before I believe it. So I'm just going to wait on that one. So I'm not interested there. And Rabbitohs Dragons, I'm not interested in anyone in that game. King Gutho. Yeah, look, I think he'll score. That would be a pod play. definitely, but I don't know if it'll be I'm telling you not to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you're kind of just going against the proven ones to try and match his score. Like, I wouldn't bank on Gutho getting 100 if I was pretty confident Turbo would, even if the ownership percentage is vastly different. But
so then it
there
comes
was no-
down to what's the other option. So I really think you're just playing whatever combination of the three, right? VC Pogger, Captain Turbo or Cleary, VC Turbo, Captain Cleary. Like, I don't think it can go wrong there. I think my favorite option here in my opinion, is VC Ponga, Captain Turbo. That's my favorite because I know that the Panthers are going to destroy the Roosters. I just feel like it. I just have this sneaky feeling that if that's the case, Cleary sort of sits out a little bit and maybe misses a chunk of the game, kind of like the Storm did last week. So maybe not.
Just to help people out there that might not be aware of how to do that so far, can you let them know? Because obviously, old Supercoach days, there's no way you can do VC and C on double fullback. How can you do it this time?
Beautiful flex position is how you can do it. So if you're running 3 fullbacks, then you just put whoever you think is going to be an option to vice captain or captain in your flex spot. If you're running 2 fullbacks, put that second fullback, or you've got an Iongi or something. Put your 2 guns, fullback 1, flex. That way you can vice and you can captain either or. I captained my flex Turbo last week and VC'd Ponga. It was really good. It's really, really handy to do. Been freaking crying out for something like that forever. So having the option to, have both fullbacks on call if you need them for a captaincy loop, man, it's so handy. So yeah, put your better options in the flex position. Don't put your cheapies in flex. Just gives you the option to throw a C or a VC on them if you ever needed to.
I'll just do me and just put Iongi in flex and smash it.
Just flex.
Not afraid.
Flexing
Just
on
flexing.
everyone with you.
Just flexing.
1300.
Quickly, boys, have you got your trades locked in for this week so far that you wish to share? Obviously, again, after this, if you want to know anything else from this episode, post team news, everything, late mail, late changes that we do, go onto the Legends group, $2.99 per month. Facebook group, hit that subscriber hub button on our profile page. I think that's what it's called. And then it'll take you straight through and join. I think we're up to about 45 or so members. That chase to 50, literally in terms of Supercoach wise, has been insane. Obviously now included the bet slips and stuff like that. Had a good week last week with that. Don't miss out on that sort of thing. You would have already been paid off by that stage well in advance. So great little investment there.
So,
boys, I've got for now no trades. I'm locking in no trades. As I said, the 50-50 is that Mamazoulis to Riley Smith, but for now I'm not. I guess tune into Legends Group if I do make that trade.
Yeah. I am looking at boosting this week. I'm very happy with my cashies. I'm very happy. I think I got them all right. I've got all my cheapies there. I don't have Tamale, but if I need Tamale, I'll just get him next week. So I'm not going to worry about it this week. What I'm doing this week is I've found 3, reluctantly one of them I don't want to get rid of, but my God, he's expensive and he's not performing. Well, the team isn't, but I just don't like the long-term prospects of White and Seyfarth. Genuinely, I think the whole point of them is to upgrade them to someone in probably keeper status or getting close to that position. And I look at them and I'm basically foreseeing them to be absolute plod. I think they're going to do pretty much, so I think White might make, 50K. At the stretch 100K, he might blow out a big score and then make some coin. Seyfarth might do the same. But then again, I don't like the might. Especially not when Seyfarth is 460 odd K or whatever he is, and White's almost 400. Their duel is nice and their position's nice, but again, I'm like, I just want to be done with them. So those 2 I've got. If it's not now, it is now. Who am I kidding? I think they'll be gone now. The only other thing that I want to do is I want to go up. I want to push them to someone good and make moves productively. I want to push to guns almost now. Angus Crichton is the big dog that I started with. God, the Roosters look shithouse. There's a lot of money spent up in him. His break even's already 100. I didn't buy him with the intention of break evens for him at all, but I don't honestly see the Roosters doing anything. Their trial form was horrendous. It hasn't gone anywhere better. I want to see it get better before I commit too hard to someone who's 760K in a second row. with at the moment very little attacking upside. So reluctantly, I am pulling the trigger and probably getting rid of Angus Crichton. That boost allows me to get in Gilbert, who we've all been super keen on. Loved what he did. I reckon Gilbert will be 600k before we know it. So keen on him. Tino, obviously I was very keen on Tino preseason. I'm going to race him into my side as early as I can. I'm very vocal about doing that. And my final one is Payne Haas. So those three, Haas, Gilbert, and Tino, I can get in for Nafahu White, Seyfarth, and Crichton, who will plummet coins soon. So those three moves, I think, are really good, to be honest. I think if I weighed up the 3 and the 3 here and there, I'd be taking that Haas side every day of the week. The only thing that I am contemplating is it Haas or Olakau'atu, because they're the same price. But I've got Jules everywhere, so it doesn't really matter. I like what I saw from Haas. I can work a way around Olakau'atu if I ever need to. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing. So it'll be 3 solid starting options now. I'm not having to worry about upgrading White or Seyfarth to get Tino and Gilbert or Haas in the future. I can do it right now, and I'll just do it right now because I'm not worrying about any price rises yet. And they're all 3 of them undervalued because my cash gen is good elsewhere. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't be doing it. I think next week I'll be looking at making those quick little cash jumps. But for now, I've got the 5 cheapies that went bang. I don't have to worry about them, which I'm very glad for. I'm trying to, get on the front foot with it. So a lot of criticism around, pushing for that kind of boost early on in round 2, but my axe is swinging and I'm ready for it this season. So lock it in.
Wowee. Trav?
I think I've talked myself into making no trades, but my trades that I did look at and have looked at over the last 3 days has been Preston. As much as I loved what I saw of him, I really like what I saw of Gilbert, and I want that $140,000. So I Preston to Gilbert, and then I want to get Seyfarth out. So if I'm making a trade this week, it's all a bit built around trying to get Seyfarth to Tino. So Preston to Gilbert, Seyfarth to Tino, and then depending on what I do and how I want to do this, it's either then I use that money and go Mamazelis to a Crossland or Starling, or turn Mamazelis into a Smith and bank another 100k ready for another boost in round 3. That's my tradesman where I played with.
Quick one. I'll put it to you because it's not something that I necessarily need to do this week because I can afford the move elsewhere. I could hold off trading Seyfarth for Gilbert and not use a boost. I could do Crichton and White out and get in Haas and Tino comfortably with 50k in the bank. Do you reckon it's worth not boosting, just keeping in a boost instead of using it just to get that move done now, considering there is no price changes?
Yeah. I'd probably wait, to be honest.
You'd wait. Because Seyfarth has the Eels, and the Eels are rubbish. So, that's half the thing that I'm contemplating. The only thing that I wouldn't do in that move is just hold off on the Seyfarth move for 1 week. And just let it ride because, again, it is a boost round 2. I have no problem doing that. But again, I know it's one of those things that I know next week I will be doing that trade for certain. So do I do it now? Or do I do it next week for certain? If something else pops up next week and I can't afford to do it because I'll miss something. But again, I don't think price-wise, Seyfarth and Gilbert are going to get too far away from each other yet.
No. And the other thing is, and it's good to see he looks fit again, but Gilbert's obviously injury history. Unfortunately, we just never know. It might be this game he goes down, and then all of a sudden you made that trade, and you got to trade again next week, and you don't even get the price change.
Then I'm not going to play this injury game, so I'll just trade it out. See you later. I got 46.
He looked fantastic. It was unbelievable.
He was a base monster on the weekend, man. And it was limited attacking stat, like base monster. He just looked like he's ready to work and he was ready to go.
He's a base monster, but Seyfarth can dead set score at least 2 tries on the weekend. Our edge is dog crap.
If it wasn't the Eels, I would be locking it.
Yeah,
basically, the way that I'm sort of justifying it to myself is is the boost worth maybe 30 points in difference between the two? And it's definitely not.
I'd wait.
But proactive cash gen trades next week are definitely worth it. So Yeah, I'll get the whiteboard out again, and I'll be like, which guys am I getting in next week? Because I know what I'm doing in round 4. Oh, that's locked down. There's nothing that's changed my mind from my round 4 trades. I just want to know what I'm doing next week if I can afford to do it next week. So, yeah, at the very least, Haas and Tino coming in, and I'm going to
We
be
need to get
rolling.
you need to bring that whiteboard next week so we can start looking at your whiteboard.
Just put it
But
in the
guys,
background.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is normally the stage of the show. We go through some questions. This week, we started a little bit different. Obviously, next week is a huge week, but we're going to start doing this each and every week. We did this a couple of times last year, but we're going to offer it to the Legends group first. And obviously, there's already a heap of members. They might take the whole year. They might just claim every spot, but that's advantage of being in the Legends group. So if you want, we're going to do a team health check. So each and every week, go through one team. So tell them what we would do, give them any advice live on air. They get to show their teams. If you're wanting to do the same thing and you're not a legend, go ahead, become a legend, even if it's just for the month, just to get your team looked at, and then we go from there. So we just choose them at random. Let's bring up this. So if you're not watching on YouTube, go ahead, go give a look. If you aren't, we'll go through. But I think, first of all, this guy, I'm not sure whose it is. I don't know if we should, he wants his name out either, but I think he's gloating because his score last week was 1,415. He needs to help us out more than we need to help him out. He obviously got some things right in terms of, I'm going to guess when I go to the next slide, he got some cheapies in the back line correct and actually played him where the rest of us didn't. So credit to him. A bit of a ballsy play round 1, and he got it done, got the right thing there as well. So I'll quickly read through the team, then I'll let the boys take over and let them know their thoughts. So hookers, Tanner Smith to start, Riley Smith on the bench, so the double Smith hooker. Fanua Blake and T. May for the Tigers in the front row. Corey Horsburgh and Royce Hunt there. Wow, it's good to look at. Ola Kawatu, Hopgood, and White is his 2 RFs. Wong, Vaimunga, and Charlie Geimer, obviously out there. Nathan Cleary and Tom Duffy in his half-back position. 5'8", Luke Metcalf and Kyo Weeks. Marju, Garrick, Osako, and Howarth, his centre wings starting. Then he's got Arthurs, Purdue, and Toya. Fullbacks, Turbo, Iongi, and Ponga in the flex. Wow, it's a good-looking team.
Quality. Very quality.
Good
Yeah, that's a cracker team.
Where are we going with this one, boys? What slide do you want me to focus on?
Go back to the first slide. I think he's nailed that back. That from that 5'8" down, even the halves down, like just let it ride, man. That's some good stuff going there. Stick it out with Kyo Weeks, I reckon, too. I think good things coming from him.
I'm not
but yeah, you've got
him
yours. No chance. Center wings of dreams. They all went bang. You got the cheapies locked in. You could probably, where do you find the money? Where do you find a spot for Shibasaki in a team like that? You know what I mean? Like you've got the 4 starting guys are weapons. You just got to utilize the bench when they roll. So awesome. The only thing, honestly, the only thing I would do.
I know you're going to keep going and hold that thought, but potentially if you want Shibasaki, is he waits this week and sees what's happened with Purdue, but that may be the play because he's obviously cheaper than that. But that's definitely something to think about next week. Just let it be this week. Sorry to stop you there, Jesse.
No. That's a perfect one for it. Purdue will get you 20K, and he will also get you a massive price rise. If you go to Shibasaki, sorry, that's the play. So honestly, out of here, the Smith squared hooker combination I've seen a lot. I think it will pay off more often than it doesn't because of the price. Like you're spending, what's that? It's 430K for 2 hookers. Like you take a 50.
Aladdin to do some good work elsewhere.
Yeah, man. Like you can't expect a lot. So if you get 30 to 50, you are laughing with the price you spend on them. The front row is insane. Vaimunga and Geimer are the only 2 problems that you've got. And I would be going straight to Gajewski and Hubner instantly. I'd do it right now. Just to get rid of them. Like, there's no point. You know that they're not going to do anything. Geimer's been dropped and Vaimunga's not going to make money. Siwa Wong is starting as an edge. I don't think he's got a great deal, but he's cheap. He's 300, so he could do something. If it was me, scoring 14, 15, I'd be sitting on my hands, sitting pretty. But I would be using this to go get these 2 spuds out right now and get 2 guys in that look like they're going to be there for the long term for the same price, who are actually going to make some money and are starting. Just give yourself more depth because your team is freaking insane. Well, that's my 2 cents, I reckon.
I absolutely agree before Trav jumped in. I just agree with what you're saying, Jesse. And then I'd probably look at, depending on how they score this week, White or Wong maybe next week, looking at maybe moving at least one of them on. I just don't want to play
100%.
Robinson roulette at the moment. He's just, again, doing whatever he does. I don't know what's happened with Wong. I think he's an absolute gun of a player. He just clearly has no trust in him, I don't feel like. So
Yeah. Well, the next week thing, sorry, I'll let Trav go, but the next week thing could be a boost. It could be like Royce Hunt to Hamish Stewart if he makes money. It could be Purdue down to Shibasaki, which is an easy one. And then Nafahu White, all of a sudden you've got another 100K. He can go straight to Gilbert with 100K from Nafahu White now. And that's just a next week play. And you've got yourself in Shibasaki, who's making money. Hamish Stewart for Royce Hunt. I don't think that 50K is worth it between Stewart and Hunt. Definitely not. Hunt's not doing enough to justify 50 grand. And then, yeah, you go straight to like a Gilbert or, whoever you can afford from that point. But I think he's probably the best one. And that's just what I would look to as a boost for next round. But you need to do that trade now to facilitate that move next week without missing out on Hubner and Gajewski's price rises.
Trav?
I agree with you on the Valmunga and Guymer. Guymer didn't get picked this week. We don't know what's going on with Valmunga. So I think they're two good trades. I think he needs to definitely shore up his 2RF, that third 2RF spot. And I had the same sort of thoughts around dropping Hunt down to, well, my thought was to Simpkins, not to Stewart. Yeah. And if Stewart, I'd actually prefer, in my opinion, I prefer the Nuff than the AE potential nightmare that Stewart might bring. So I'd rather the dual Nuff, in my opinion, but Stewart might get more minutes and keep those minutes. So you don't know, but just let that play out another week. But yeah, I think that White needs to go up. Now, this week, in terms of something to do, I'd be doing a quick swap with Horsburgh and White and getting White off my fields. You don't want to play him against Penrith. And, yeah, making those trades with Valmunga and Guymer. And I think he's also got Metcalf on the field with Weeks, and I'd be swapping that around too and going Weeks on the ground. And putting Weeks on the ground and getting Metcalf and taking that reserve off Metcalf. That's just a little weak play, but yeah.
I don't think he's got the depth with Howarth on a bye to not play Weeks and Metcalf together this week. Otherwise, if you chuck in the bye, look, if you're not going to play White because you're putting Horsburgh in, then you need to put another reserve on someone else. Maybe Hubner's worth a shout.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be putting it on Hubner. Starting lock, playing most of the game.
You go Hubner, you could go Toya. I still think Toya bust tackles even against Penrith. Yeah, there's options, but damn, like there's so much upside everywhere you look, really, isn't there? Like it's a quality team, really is. You can tell by the score. So yeah, and it's like they're not groundbreaking trades, but they're essential. They're really essential. Like they set you off on the path. I'm just glad that I had them already. Honestly, otherwise I'd be getting them in now myself, because they are going to be very important to set you up. 200
ball points in us.
No, exactly right. Yeah, because you freaking look at them. You got Fanua Blake. You know what I mean? He picked his reserves right. That was the thing. We could have all scored 1,400, 1,500 if we just played Shibasaki and Toya. You know what I mean? But who's going to? So no, it worked out really well for him. Congrats. Hell of a score. Really good ranking.
He's got humongous balls. Humongous. Yeah. So credit to you, brother. We'll chat to you in the Legends group. I actually don't know who it is yet. I haven't even looked at that chat yet. So it'd be a nice surprise to see who it is. That's it. Obviously, I didn't think this would be a huge episode, but it turned into it. Just so much to talk about. Round one came and gone. Round two again. So much to talk about. And next week, I cannot wait for next week's episode already. It's going to be absolutely huge. So that's one to really look forward to. Let's get through this week. Let's see what happens. Let's hopefully we can back up our scores, go again, be wrapped to get similar score to what I got last week. It'd be absolutely insane. So that's it. Thank you. Thanks for, if you're listening, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe again. It helps us so much. Same with the Spotify or the Apple, hit the heart button, I think it is, or the follow button, and make sure you give us a rating there as well. Hopefully out of 5. It helps spread out the podcast as we're discovering now. It's gone out to plenty of new people who'll keep messaging the page saying, it's the first time I've seen you. It's great. You got a new viewer in us or a listener. And that's the stuff we love to hear. It pushes us on. It really does, guys. So keep those flying in, those messages. We love them. Always put them into the group, stuff like that. So, and the boys froth it. I know that for sure. That's it. Let's go. Let's get ripping and tearing for another week. Thank you, Trav. Thank you, Jesse. We will see you for the Sunday review show, then back
Yep.
again, obviously, for the Tuesday and then the Wednesday nights next week. Good night, good morning, good day, whatever it is. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.